Welcome. Over the Top Podcast. It's your boy HD with the Over the Top Podcast crew. Hey guys, first let me again thank you for listening to us. Thank you for those from the radio who listen to us on Spotify. Thank you those who call in to Astoria. Just thank you. You're really inspiring us to continue this movement, and we definitely want to give you the best that we can give you. So let's introduce the crew tonight. We're gonna start with Q. What's going on, Quentin?
In this news of politics, Donald Trump is now being endorsed by The Undertaker and Kane. And I would like to this time to say neither of those two were actually good wrestlers. Y'all just liked them because of their character. But go back and watch a match of them. Those matches sucked. And
Wait a minute,
honestly,
I'm an Undertaker fan, so I do take a little bias in that.
go back and watch anything. In fact, go back and watch anything they did. It was not
Okay,
good.
fair enough. All right, Jay, what's the deal, man?
Man, good day today. That's all I'm gonna say. It's a good day today. I'm happy and I'm in good space.
That's all. That's how you can say. That's how you can say. And the lady on the top podcast, Miss Toya, how are you?
What up, though? Hello, fellas. Hello, lady.
How was your day?
Today was a good day, in the great words of the great poet Ice Cube.
Today was a good
Today
day.
was a good day.
And guys, last but not least, we have our guest tonight is nurse practitioner Mary Baker. Thank you for coming on to the show, Miss Mary. How are you?
Hi.
How are you today?
I am awesome. Couldn't be better.
Good stuff. Again, thank you. She's gonna share with us some information about health and strokes and stuff that we can take and put in our toolkit for better living. So, but first, let's start off the editorial. What's on deck?
All right. So, dear Toya, I am a 52-year-old widower with 3 boys. I was married for 29 years and lost my husband 4 years ago. I recently just took my wedding ring off. My sons are grown but extremely protective. The youngest is the most protective. He is currently working on his master and about to get married. I accept all my daughter-in-laws with love and open arms. I love them all like they were my own. I started seeing this wonderful man. I've been blessed in this dating game. I know how you say it's so ghetto out here. I really like this man, and I've kept him a secret for a while. Now he is ready to meet the boys and for me to meet his girls. He is also a widower. We met at a grief group. I told my sons I was dating, and the response I got from these suckers was horrible. It's like I have 3 fathers all of a sudden. They want to do background check and talk to the man alone. I don't want my boys to scare this man off. How do I have the conversation with 3 grieving kids that this man is not trying to take their father's place and to give me respect the same way I give their wives respect? Signed, I love my boys, but damn.
Oh wow! Let's go to mental health professional RJ. What's your thoughts?
Hey, right.
Right.
Them kids are right. And so in relationship to their mother's well-being, you should always protect your mother and your significant other. That's, I heard Denzel say something beautiful. Your mother's your first love. So if you really do truly love and honor your mother, one thing you're gonna do is you're gonna try to figure out, one, who she's dating and what that person's intentions are. And once you classify those things, you pay him the respect he do, but you also make it known that she is protected and covered by you as her children. And she deserves the right to date. She deserves the right for happiness. That's one of the things that's really kind of interesting. And I had, man, as a youngster, a really shapely mother. So because my mother was shapely, man, she would stop the goddamn bus. It made a lot of things happen with me in terms of my aggression. I was like a dog after a bone. So I understand those boys. But I think they have the right to ask questions, understand, and have talks like men. And, if that man comes out and he's solid, he gonna do that. That's just like when you as a young man go to date a girl. You need to talk to her dad, have real conversations with him, and be a man about it. It's real. It's just me. That's how I see it.
Q, I'm gonna come with you a little different because I know you haven't had that experience, so I know you had experience you have in that. But what if the scenario was that your father wasn't around? How would you deal with the scenario of somebody else with dating your mother? How would you deal with that?
Hey, can I curse on here real quick?
Yes.
Nigga, get out of my house.
Oh my
Who
God.
you think you are? Ain't nobody. Ain't not there no nappy headed Negro
Oh.
good enough for my mother. Move along.
And there's the problem.
Okay. Mary, let's go with you, Mary. Make what's your thoughts on this scenario? What's your
Okay.
opinion?
I have two boys. They're 26 and 33. Um, I'm divorced, and they actually was encouraging me to get back into the dating game because I sat home, didn't do anything. I was a workaholic. What I did value was that they did have my back and they looked out for me. Their concern was people taking advantage of me, emotionally, because I was married for 23 years. So emotionally, financially, and those areas, they were never concerned that anybody would take their dad's spot because their dad is their dad and that his life is totally separate from my life, but we have children together. So my thing is like, as long as my boys are okay, then we're good. Um, but I'm actually having to deal with that with my oldest son because in his relationship, I don't necessarily agree with the person, but he's 33 years old. I have to respect what he wants. But in the background, I do say, son, out of love, I'm telling you XYZ. So I think that the mom deserves to be happy. I think the sons are correct with being protective, but don't be protective to the point that nobody wants to come around or they make the environment hostile or uncomfortable. You got to get a chance to know a person. If not, they'll perform and hide their true selves. And when the real them come out, it'll be too late.
Oh wow. Oh wow.
Bingo.
Perfect.
Very good.
Very some heavy weights in there. So little story to tell you. It's probably this had to have been years. Oh wow, how long ago was this? It had to be 20 some years ago. So me and my wife, wife the time we was dating, I don't think we was married at the time, but so we put up my mom, we come home. So we come home, we put in the yard. It's a strange car in the yard. Okay, this is new. So I come in the house, all the lights out in the house. Okay, what the hell going on around here? I go to den. No, I'm cutting the lights. So, hey, mom, hey, who here? What's going on? It was a gentleman, and my mama sitting in the den talking. There ain't no lights on to him. Cut the lights on. He got up and hauled theirs out. More of the story was, mom said, well, if he wasn't man enough to face you, he wasn't man enough to be with me. So the more story was, yes, children do have the right to be a little protective. When I read the Astoria to the lady that sent it, she said that he was ready to meet my children. Well, are you ready for him to meet your children? I think a lot of when you look at the fine print, are you ready for him to meet your children at this time? And then at that point, it's up to you to have that conversation with your children. But as men, he gonna have to talk to you. He will have to have that conversation with your older boys as men for them to not necessarily give a stamp of approval. So I'm not saying that, but you do have to have that conversation as hey, my intentions is good. This is what I'm doing to keep the boys from out to continue to interfere in what you're doing in y'all relationship. Because one thing about it, I don't care what man you are, just like Ron said, mom, your first love. And she gonna listen to your son over any other nigga that come in the house. All right, doesn't matter how much she may like him, he may plant seeds. So as the woman, I will have a conversation with my children. Hey, I am grown now, so I do have to have my private life. But as the man who's being introduced to this situation, he need to sit down and talk to those young men too, and have that conversations to where he feel that there's intentions are, and not because he have to answer to them, but I think it tones down a lot of the rhetoric and the issues that they have in their conversation. What you think, Toy? You can wrap it up.
So I know this person. So
Okay.
it's a little different for me. And I know
You
these
must don't
kids.
like the guy.
Oh no. I know. Oh no. I know this person, and I know how before her husband passed away, and he passed away suddenly. It wasn't something that he had a massive heart attack and he passed away suddenly. And we're talking about that tonight. But and I know these kids. I know these boys. They are amazing men. Their wives are amazing women. The new one that is engaged, she a little different, but we can deal with her. um, they are very protective of their mother. They have always been protective of their mother, which I get. I understand. And I just want to say to her, I don't think it's that they think that their father is being replaced. They had an amazing dad. These two people had an amazing marriage. They were in love for a long time. They were married for 29 years, but they were together since high school. So it's just, they had a life together. But she is ready. She has actually, like she said, she's been secretly seeing this person. She's been secretly seeing this person for about a year and a half now. And he said, I want to meet your boys so that I can get to know them better, because our relationship is going the way that it is going. Out of respect, he didn't want to be a secret anymore. And I respect that. He is a good guy, and he won't have a problem sitting down having a conversation. But when I say the conversation about the background check, the police reports, it just got a little out of hand. And then I'm just like, when she told me, I was like, well, send it as an Ask Toya. And she did. I'm glad she did. But they love their mother. Yes, you are supposed to protect your mother. I have girls, and as a single mom of girls, now y'all know disease are protective. They don't want to see you, and because they're still young, I don't bring men around my kids unless I know that you are going to. And I've been fooled, so I'm really hesitant now to not bring anybody around them. Disease are very, very much protective, so I understand it. They don't even want people talking to me in the store unless I already know them. So, your kids are going to protect you as a mother, period. But I think if you just sit down, have the conversation with them, introduce this gentleman to them, I'm so sure that they will learn to like him, because he's that personable, and his daughters are amazing too. Um, and she's ready to meet his daughters. They're at that stage in their relationship where they want to bring their family into their situation. And I get why he doesn't want to be a secret anymore. He really, really cares about her. His actions have shown that.
I tell you what, I mean, and Lord forbid, I don't mean this thing to death do us part, but mine gonna be a secret because my mom got my two kids. Ooh wee, ooh wee. She's gonna have hell in the building, buddy. It's gonna be some pain to go through because my little baby girl, as sweet as she is, she don't take no mess. Playmaker, what's up, man?
He on mute.
Hey man, how you doing?
What's going on?
Oh, I'm well.
I know you joined us a little late. Did you get a chance to review the Astoria? You ever comment on the Astoria?
No comment.
Okay, so I think she should just sit them down with the kids. I think they all need to meet. And if he's just introduced and she walks out the room and they have a conversation about what his intentions are, what type of man he is, I think it'll be all right. I really do.
Well, I think as a man, you need to do that. If you ever go in there when you trying to date a young lady or a lady and she have grown children and there are men to kind of put out fires before fires begin.
But even as a woman, if you're dating a man and he has grown children or he has children at all, and I am the product
well,
of
girls are different than boys now. Females
no,
different now.
not all girls.
Female,
First of all,
females different now.
your
Females
girl is
different now.
not
They
your
ain't gonna like you off the females ain't gonna like the lady off the gate. Ain't no matter what she do. She can
not
make
all
it
girls.
rain. She can be the sweetest girl in the world. They're
I am.
not gonna like her. Now you know this
That's
like I
not
know
true.
this.
That depends on. Look, I'm blessed to be a bonus mother. And even though we're divorced, India and Azure have been with me since they were 2 and 7. And I tell you, when it was love at first sight, it was love at first sight. It is how you carry yourself. It is how you show love and give love.
Well, and I mean it
Those
is
girls'
love,
mother
but it's
trusted me so much. She sent those girls to Jersey every summer with my parents.
but see
It's
us it's called
not
boot
the
camp.
same.
You gotta go through some if you can't make it through the boot camp, you ain't gonna make it to the other side called hey. We don't haze or anything, but there is a process you have to go through now.
I appreciate the ass, Toya. We get out of here. Go ahead. Do you
Now
got
I got something I want to say.
Go ahead,
I
brother.
do have a comment. I think it depends on this how the divorce or breakup with the biological mother occurred. Because I know when my mom snuck around for until I was an adult because she
Yeah,
didn't
snuck
want
around.
someone.
There's a heavy term now. Snuck
She
around.
did. She did. I mean, well, she didn't bring another man into the house. She didn't
Okay,
let me see
okay,
her date
okay.
until I was really out of college. But I knew she was going down to South Carolina State for something.
Not just
And
for
she wasn't a
homecoming.
huge football fan. So but anyway, but for me, it was okay because I didn't want my mom to be lonely. I wasn't at home. My mom was living by herself. So I wanted her to have a companion and a partner. And I knew this, how my father and mother separated. And my father had went on and married 3 times at that point. So I wanted my mom to find happiness. So I was cool with it. The guy passed before we could ever have a sit down and talk or whatever like that. But yeah, so I think it has two factors depending on how they separated, and then also I think it depends on, um, you know, in my case, I didn't want my mom to be alone, and I knew I couldn't give her all those things that she needed from a significant other.
Good stuff. Good
I know
stuff.
her oldest son does not want her to be alone. I know that he was
None
one
will be alone. Who
who
wants to do that?
pushed her, but she's a widow, so
Right.
her husband
Right.
passed. And then his
Right.
wife passed too. They met in grief counseling, group grief counseling. So the oldest son does not want his mom to be alone. He's 33. So he's more of, I don't want my mom to be alone for the rest of her life. He's okay with it, but of course he still wants to meet the guy and
Yeah.
have
I
a
mean,
conversation, but that's just normal. And I think her fear was she thought that she was trying to replace their dad. And their dad's been gone for 4 years. And I think 4 years, like my mom just started dating. And yeah, we all like so girls are protective, sir.
no,
And
and
my
that's
mom is
factual.
about to be 75, sir. So we are all like, ma'am, no,
Find,
ma'am.
she may find him a nice. She may find him a nice young 25-year-old, nice young buck, young stud.
Why you doing too much?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm
My
sorry.
mama ain't dating no young. But I appreciate the question. I hope that we were able to help you out with the answer. If anybody has a question, you can send it to asktoya, Toia 74 at gmail.com, or ask Toya on Facebook, or Toya L, Toiael on TikTok. I have opened my TikTok inbox. You Negroes
Please be
sending
respectable,
me
please.
inappropriate
Come on
things.
now. This is a lady. This is a
Be
lady.
respectful.
She may
Um,
be a cougar, but she's still a lady. She's
I
still
am
a
not.
lady. I'm
I'm
sorry, you're not a cougar. I'm sorry.
Man, I'm glad I got impulse control.
I'm sorry. No, guys. No, guys. That please be respectful, guys.
just
Come on
being
now.
respectful.
Come
I
on
opened
now.
it up because people wanted on TikTok wanted to send me questions, but then there's you other sons of somethings.
Hey man, you got Clarence Thomas in your email.
No, Clarence Thomas.
The things that men say. Yeah, I'm taking now. I'm taking. I'm a be taking.
And she ain't there. She got some big brothers, guys, that don't mind sharing the load. But thank you for sending stuff in. But yeah, that please be a little respect, please. There you go.
All right.
There you go. Good stuff. Q, what's up in the sports corner, sir?
So first we're gonna keep it in the NFL.
No.
Unfortunately, Mike Evans just got hurt. He just hurt his hamstring, which, really? Yeah. Well, maybe before we started, which now means my number 1 and number 2 fantasy picks are injured.
Okay, that's personal. What's going on in national news?
also with the NFL, someone correct me if I'm wrong. There's one more undefeated team left.
Kansas City Chiefs.
And they're currently led by Patrick Mahomes, who is playing absolutely terrible. I mean, good Lord, he's playing bad this year.
So he's a system quarterback now? That would you put him at?
No, I will never say that. But having more interceptions than touchdowns right now is horrendous. And the worst part is he's probably still going to make the Super Bowl, and no one's going to talk about it.
Hey, that shows as long as you win, it covers a lot of mistakes.
We're going to keep it football, but we're going to move to college football. But earlier in the year, there are people on this panel who told me Oregon did not deserve to be ranked 3. Well, now we're ranked 1. Boo-hoo, cry me a river, we beat Ohio State. Oregon number 1. We're going to find a way to mess this up, but I'm going to ride this number 1 until the playoffs, because we definitely making the playoffs.
Okay.
Touche.
The New York Liberty,
yes,
won the WNBA finals. Final score of 67-62. It was a 3-2 series. The MVP was Jonquel Jones, which as much WNBA I watched, I did not watch a lot of New York Liberty. I watched more so of the Sky, the Fever, and then the Aces. But I do know there are 2 good players on the Liberty. Well, not lie. I know there's a lot of good players on the Liberty, but Jonquel Jones was not one of the players I remembered until now.
Okay.
Speaking of New York, the New York Yankees,
yes,
will face the Los Angeles Dodgers in the World Series, meaning we're going to see.
Hey, I'm sad we did have the Subway Series. I would love to see the Mets.
I would have loved to see the Mets in the game.
But you know what? I'm glad you did, because the New York heads are already swole, and you know mine's well. You gave them both of them to being the world champion.
Why the heck?
Oh, New York! There will be riots every night. But I want people to watch the World Series, because you are seeing 2 of the greatest hitters of our generation play against one another. Aaron Judge, and Shohei Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
And
can I give a sports shout out?
You may.
I want to give a shout out to the 7-0 Golden Bulls, who will lose next week to the illustrious Winston-Salem State University.
No, don't get him started. Please don't get him started.
But what a great homecoming game it was, because of course my little sister came down, and I was once again on the campus of John C. Smith this weekend, which I do not like doing, but it was a good game. They almost didn't win, but they pulled it through.
Good stuff.
Almost on count.
I got 2 more.
Go ahead.
2 more. First we got the guess if this player is a Hall of Famer, and this will lead into the final question that will be open for the panel. This player played for 13? No. longer than that. Whatever. He averaged 17 points a game, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 3-time All-Star, All-NBA, All-Rookie, Rookie of the Year, and he was an MVP.
I don't know. You make the Hall. You make the Hall of Fame with those stats, though. I don't know.
Who is it?
He made the Hall playmaker. Mary, you watch sport. You a sports fan, Mary Baker? No.
Not at all. I'm
17
sorry.
points. How many? Rookie of the Year. How many?
Nah.
If I could, just real quick here, in his prime, 19 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds, and a steal, and half a
No,
block.
he's not a Hall of Famer. No.
That was his prime, and his prime also included MVP. Yeah, and prime also included an MVP.
Who is it?
Who is it?
This is Derrick Rose.
Hey, if he didn't get hurt though,
if
he didn't get hurt though,
he stayed not injured.
Yeah, he stayed hurt.
Now,
but then again, I don't know.
I say that to say Derrick Rose recently said, wait, let me get the exact quote. Derrick Rose recently said on Jeff Teague's podcast, which is a very good podcast, not better than this one though, but it's a very good podcast. He said Michael Jordan wouldn't be Michael Jordan if he played anywhere else but Chicago for his pro career. He would have been a great player anywhere else, but in Chicago, he became the Black Cat. He became MJ in Chicago. Continues to say, just off the strength of the culture in Chicago, it's everywhere. The basketball culture is just strong. Expectations are like, all right, what are you going to do? I guarantee you, he had people in his corner like, you just went on vacation. They ain't going to let you win 3 more. I bet you can't. That's what niggas in Chi-Town were telling him. You already won 1. I bet you can't win another. That's what I mean by the culture, being there. That's what I felt. With that being said, the final question, would Jordan be the GOAT if he played anywhere but Chicago?
Yes.
Jordan wouldn't be the GOAT if Len Bias had lived.
We just had that conversation, and I believe that. I believe that.
Part.
Wow.
I believe that.
6'8", 6'9", jumper from another planet, could dunk your whole face off.
And handle Jordan.
Extremely athletic, playing with the Celtic organization.
Yeah.
Got drafted around the same time Reggie Lewis was drafted on the back end of the Big Three. Man, nah, it wouldn't have been that sweet for Jordan. Like, it wouldn't have been nowhere near as sweet. No.
Len Bias had a great career, but unfortunately his timely death. So I understand.
We never got to see what Len could actually be because of the way he died. But
Jordan put fear in the hearts of people. You don't see fear in the hearts of people.
You ever see Jordan and Len play against each other though?
Yes.
Jordan
came down when Sam Perkins was on that team with goddamn Mike and them. I think Sam Perkins, not Brad Daugherty, but the other Daugherty. And he dunked the goddamn gym there. He was a monster. I'm telling you.
Yeah. Good stuff. I don't know. I think Michael. I mean, if we would love to see Len, but we would love to see him play in the pros. That coach can lead. Hey man, don't change your lifestyle so drastically because you get a little money in your pocket. Anyway, move on. What do you think, playmaker? I get your final thoughts on this. You think if he play anywhere else outside of Chicago, would he been the All-Star? What's your thoughts?
I think that he still would have been successful. I mean, I think one of the things that Jordan realized is that he couldn't do it by himself, and he built some players around him. And I think he would have, if it wouldn't have been in Chicago, he still would have tried to build those players around him to be successful. If you look at the number of centers he went through to get a championship, you look at the number of point guards he went through to get a championship. He once he found his nucleus in Pippen and Rodman, and some will say even Horace Grant, that's when his started experiencing his success. So I think he would have built a supporting cast elsewhere because he was just that determined.
Even with Rodman, he the one gave Rodman the pass to go out to Vegas in the middle of the week. I mean, Phil talked to Mike about that. Hey, let that man go. He good. So good stuff, Q. Good
Wait,
stuff.
one more thing.
RJ, what you got in your
One
corner for
more
the?
thing.
Huh? Okay. I'm sorry, sir.
Yeah, I just felt like I was giving too much love to New York, so I had to say, yeah, the Giants suck. Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown in New York since before his contract.
You just couldn't
That
let it.
guy sucked.
Just couldn't let it go.
Saquon had more rushing yards and touchdowns than Daniel Jones had passing yards on Sunday at 4 p.m. when the game ended. And
Good
Saquon
stuff.
did
Okay.
not play
Okay.
the fourth quarter.
Okay. We ain't gonna kick a giant while they down.
I will.
Damn. It'd be different if I was a Cowboys fan, then I'd be talking junk like I ain't got no
Oof,
sense. But I
I
know
know.
that we suck. So that
Good, good stuff. Good stuff. RJ, what you got going on in your corner of the world, sir?
The North Carolina State Fair is getting ready to take place for the next couple of days. We plan on going down to check it out as a family. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to the Battle of I-85 because I'm actually gonna be in the house at that game. I wish I could catch you there at that game, but I'm definitely gonna make a
I believe
Facebook
it's gonna
live
be it is
post at
really
some
gonna
point
be
in
a good
time.
game. I think it's gonna be a good game.
So,
Um,
Mary, I know you probably lost. And let me bring Mary to the fold. So on this panel, you have two alums of Winston-Salem State University and the attendee, which I attended, not the alum. And you have one Golden Bull with the Johnson C. Smith, who we whip on every year from his last 20 years.
But not last
It's
year.
not here recently. They got a
took them
team.
29 years to beat us.
So now the game is this weekend, and everybody kind of gassed up. Look at the playmaker. He just bounced.
You're right. Somebody gassed up, and
No, I
somebody
think
got
I think because here's the thing. Johnson Smith is undefeated, and they are the last undefeated HBCU in football right now. But Winston been playing. We've been playing, and
okay.
we lost to Virginia, and we lost to A&T, and that's not a conference game. So, so yeah,
that's
it's
what's
gonna be a
going
good game.
on.
I think it's gonna be a good game.
Hey,
So
bring a lot of ice and a lot of alcohol.
back to you, RJ. What we got? What's your
And
thoughts on
it's
the
in
community,
Winston.
man?
And it's in Winston.
What? I know.
Don't drink
That's
and
you.
drive, but bring a lot of ice and alcohol.
Go ahead, RJ. Give back your thoughts on the community.
I think that's pretty much it, man. That's the larger community-based issues. I don't think it's anything other than, man, the elephant in the room, man. Get out and vote. Please let your voice be heard. It's extremely important that you vote your conscience and not off of ignorance, not off of stupidity. Your vote really counts. It matters, and we must be clear in the exercising of that right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Play any question? Good. Playmaker, make a play for me. What you got going on your neck of the woods?
During the last podcast, we were highlighting checking your status as far as when you vote, making sure that you are registered because we went over the term inactive voter. So this time, I want to highlight having a plan. Um, Make sure that you have a plan for if you're going to early vote, if you're going to do it election day, whatever you plan on voting, make sure you have a plan. Make sure you have all the materials your location requires, whether that's an ID, whether that's your voter registration card, whatever it may call for, a real ID, or whatever the case may be. Just make sure you have a plan, make sure you have your materials. And if you are waiting to the last minute to vote the day of, make sure you pack your patience because some places may be overcrowded. So just reiterating, making sure you have a plan.
Good stuff. So I early voted today, guys. So I wanted to be the first in South Carolina to be in the early day voting, and to kind of give some feedback. That's one thing we can do. Feedback. The one thing I can give you, I can tell you to vote for, but when you do, Take your time to look at that ballot. They didn't, you normally in the elections they have the top two front runners, the first two names on the ballot. So they have, for example, they have Trump and what's his boy name, Vance, and then they have Harris and Wentz. But they didn't have it this time. They had all the other names up, and Harrison Wentz was way back in the middle or the bottom of the list. So hey, the piggyback from what Gary said. Don't just go in there and get Christmas tree this thing. Look at what you're doing. Look at the lines you're voting on, because what they had today, you couldn't even find Trump and Vance. You had to look hard to find Harris and Walt's name. They had like 20 other names on the list. This is in South Carolina. So be careful when you look through that thing. Take your time while you're at the polls. Take your time. Don't let them push you and rush you through that line. Take your time. Look at each line, read each agenda, and see there's something that you can take advantage of. So that's my point. Any other points on this one? Go ahead, Mary. Go ahead, go.
I would like to say, there are people I've seen on Twitter joking around, writing in a third name for the joke of it. Guys, hey, let's say this one a little more serious. If you want to joke in 4 years, cool. But this one, let's focus. Let's make sure we get the right one in this time.
Fact.
I do plan on voting, but I also know South Carolina's a lost cause. But not gonna stop me.
To make your vote count. What you say, Miss Mary? What you
I just wanted to add that for our senior citizens that need special help, like my mom, for instance, she's visually challenged, and as you know, she can't get around as much since her accident. But I did call for Florence County, and the last day for absentee ballot to be submitted is 25th, which my mom would have to do. So just a FYI for that. And if there are any young people listening, please remember when you're on social media and you're looking at reels, you're getting clips of information. And a lot of it is doctored. And do your research. If it's something that you're really, really, really concerned about and it's a pressing issue for you, don't just look at a reel. Go in, do your research, do your homework, evidence-based. Don't go by what other people say. Find out the truth for yourself.
Great stuff.
So
And the kind of and then piggyback on with the elderly people. If you know elderly people that may not be able to get you the polls and need absentee voting, hey, be a good Samaritan right now and make that thing happen. Find out where they can go. Find out information for elderly, because they can't get out and move the way we can move. And at some point in time, we're gonna be that person. They're gonna need that assistance, and we're gonna want that to trigger down to us. So, any other thoughts in mind? Good point, playmaker. See, he always come in late, but he brings something with him. That's what I like about that young fella. Anything else from the panel before we introduce? Hey, if not, hey guys, we have a special guest today. We have nurse practitioner Mary Baker. I've been trying to get on my show for 3 years now. I guess you felt like we got 5 listeners. She can come on now. But so I do thank you for coming on. And she gonna share some information about stroke awareness, and men's and women's health awareness. So, Mary, how are you?
I am great. Thank you
Good.
guys for having me on. I'm sorry it took so long, but I'm thankful to be here.
Thanks for having you. Thanks for having you. So, what are the things about stroke and stroke awareness that our listeners could benefit from?
Well, one of the things is my specialty is neuroscience, so I do anything neurology. And the biggest thing that I see in the hospital are strokes. And normally we would think that folks are thinking strokes are in elderly people and things like that. That's not always true. And I have some myth busters and some other things I wanted to just go over real quick. First of all, what is a stroke? Just in case anybody does not know, and it's fine if you don't. A stroke is a medical emergency. It's the result of any time the brain has a loss of blood flow or oxygen supply. Okay. Once brain cells are dead, they do not regenerate. So the brain is one of the only organs in the body that cannot regenerate itself when it's damaged. Um, so just to get a little bit of statistics, stroke is the fourth leading cause of death in the United States. That's big. Over 795,000 strokes occurred in the US per year, and there was 610,000, and that occurred within the years of 2020 to 2023. Okay, so it's not something that's uncommon. In my job, I've actually seen a lot of, this year probably have taken care of, if I got the numbers correct, over almost 300 people with strokes.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's very, very, very prevalent. So about every 4 seconds, somebody has a stroke. And over the last, and between 20 and 2022, we spent $56.2 billion on healthcare just for stroke patients. That's a lot of money. And
That
as
is.
we know, in some areas, a lot of folks don't have health care insurance and things. So once the person comes in the hospital and they get treated, we have to carry through. So a lot of government dollars this is stuff that people need to know about when they talk about Obamacare, quote unquote, is that the money that for people who don't have insurance, they still have to be taken care of. So it's a very, very debilitating condition, and it's very, very costly. And when we look at strokes, I have a passion for it. My sister had a stroke. Her stroke was about 11 years ago, and she's a stroke survivor. Unfortunately, my grandfather had a massive hemorrhagic stroke, and he did not survive his, and my mom had a stroke. So stroke runs in the family. Um, Ethnically wise, it's more prone to be seen in Blacks versus any other ethnicity, specifically African American women. And part of that reason is because we live longer than men usually, and there's some modifiable conditions that we have that we don't take advantage of and look into. So I'm kind of skipping around on my PowerPoint because I want to make sure I touch on these things. So when I talk about modifiable risk factors, those are things that we can control. We can change, we can treat, so forth. So one of those is high blood pressure. That's the number one cause of most strokes that come in is high blood pressure. Smoking, illicit drug use. In South Carolina, specifically, the drug of choice that I see most of my patients with are cocaine positive. Diabetes, heart disease, atrial fibrillation, obesity, excessive alcohol intake, poor diet, and a sedentary life. So some of those things we can help to manage and treat. If you have high blood pressure, you need to make sure you're taking your blood pressure medications. If you're smoking, I know it's a bad, nasty habit. I used to smoke years ago, so it was hard to break, but it's something that we really, really, really need to work on. So if you're a smoker, there's different things that you can talk to your doctor about, Chantix or patches or other things, or regular chewing gum or something to help you with the nicotine cravings. Drug use, don't do it, especially in the summertime, and mix it with alcohol. It's very, 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 very deadly. Diabetes, control your diabetes. If you know what your diabetes range is, try and stay within those numbers. Atrial fibrillation, and if you don't know what that is, if you ever feel like a quivering in your chest, that's constantly there, and you can like feel your heart quivering, it's possibly atrial fibrillation. If you are diagnosed with it, doctors normally will put you on some type of blood thinner medication to help manage that. You got to be compliant with your medications. Obesity, try and maintain your weight as best as possible. A lot of folks talk about the BMI and trying to get down to have your BMI less than 30. And
Well, wait, isn't that BMI? That's the European scale, and you know we
well,
brothers
I
and
was
sisters.
trying to find a way to say it nice.
That's the European scale. We're a little more healthier. We're a little more healthier.
But when you go to the doctor, you're gonna get the European scale. But we are built different than they are,
The
so
Europeans.
I give some leeway there.
There you go. There you go. Hold on one second. Playmate, you have a question? You want to pose a question right quick? I think Playmate may have a jump. I have a quick question for you. May I cut you off? Go ahead.
Yes, I do have a quick question. A few minutes ago, you mentioned minor and major strokes. Can you kind of I guess, break down the difference or how they determine the difference between a minor and major?
Yes.
Like
Well, to me,
different types of stroke.
every stroke is a major stroke, in my opinion. There's actually three types. You have your ischemic strokes. That's when you have like a blood clot or some calcification from the your arteries that break off and they blocks the blood flow to your brain. Those usually do not involve any kind of bleeding. So there's one that can come from that. Then the embolic ones can come from the heart, like I was talking about the atrial fibrillation. So if you have something, when we look at your MRI scans, we can kind of tell if your stroke is from like high blood pressure versus a different cause. So what embolic strokes look like on MRIs, it's almost like buckshots where you have a whole bunch of little dots on different spots of the brain. That's what would trigger us to say that's an embolic stroke. Then we would get the cardiologist involved, have them, we can do what we call loop recorder or Watchman's device to double check to see if you have um, atrial fibrillation. The third type of ischemic stroke is cryptogenic, which is just a big fancy word for we don't know what caused it. So those are ischemic. Your hemorrhagic strokes, those are the strokes that we don't want to see. Those ones we have very, very poor outcomes from. That's when you have an actual bleed on the brain, the blood vessels rupture. The brain does not like blood and doesn't do well. And normally when you have that, you have swelling, and that your skull is not but so big. When you have that swelling, it pushes the brain. So the brain has nowhere to go. It's going to go here, here. And a lot of times it ends up being herniated down to the back of your neck. And that's normally what kills a lot of people from hemorrhagic strokes. And then we have what we call TIAs, transit ischemic attacks. Those are what we call the mini strokes. And those are kind of like your precursor to say, hello, there's something going on here. They're not going to show up on your scans or anything. A lot of time people will have fainting. They will have like little stare-offs or something that's saying, hey, this is not my normal. Let me go and get this checked out. The biggest thing that differentiates an ischemic stroke from the TIA is the TIA, all the symptoms resolve within 24 hours. So if there was facial drooping, numbness, if they had any difficulties lifting an arm or a leg or speaking, those symptoms are going to resolve totally within 24 hours. If it's an ischemic stroke, they're not going to resolve that fast. There's going to be some what we call residual, which is leftover effects from the stroke.
Good stuff. Good stuff. One more question before you jump off. And I don't want to turn. I don't want to teach y'all track. I know I hold you long. Quick question. So we're talking about diets and diabetes. Or what's some of the foods thing for a stroke we need to stay away from if you feel like you in that risk factor? What's some of the foods that still needs kind of slow down? Or is there any food you stay away from?
I just really believe, I think one of the big things that we drink a lot of, which I try not to, is soda. So we need to stop drinking soda, increase your water intake. Watch out for things that are highly concentrated.
What happened? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay,
Yes.
I'm sorry. So I don't know which part you didn't hear, so I'll start
Sodas.
over.
You started off as sodas and concentrates. So that's
Yes.
where we,
So,
yeah.
sodas, concentrated sweets. If you eat canned vegetables, drain the water off of them, add fresh water to them, and don't add any additional salt. When you're using that, try and eat as much fresh foods, vegetables as you can. Try and stay away from a lot of fatty foods because the fatty foods increases your cholesterol and it can cause like a domino effect. So if you're diabetic, your doctor should have really given you some guidelines. If not, you can go on the American Diabetic Association website, and they actually have a reference sheet for foods that are recommended for diabetics, as far as type 1, type 2, how many fruits you're allowed a day, how many carbs, and how to count things. So that's
Good
not my
stuff.
area of expertise. So I can refer you to the site where you get that from. But
Good
those are
stuff.
some things to stay away from. And if you do drink one soda, it takes about 8-ounce glasses of water to rinse your body from one soda.
I'm always drinking liquor, but anyway, you continue with your. Oh, no, I know.
That's okay. Gary, did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so one of the big things is brain is time. We see a lot of people coming to the hospital and they have wasted time. Like I said before, once the brain cells die, they don't regenerate. So if you have a person exhibiting signs and symptoms, or if you feel them, which I'm going to go over in a second, you want to get to the hospital ASAP. I'd rather you be safe than sorry. Don't drive yourself. When you drive yourself to the hospital, if you're having an emergent situation, regardless, if you go through that ER door walking, you're going to be triaged. You're going to sit there. If you call 911, you go by EMS, we're going to take you straight to the back. You're normally going to meet me or someone that does what I do back there. We're going to get you to the CT scanner. We're going to get some blood work done. We're going to check your sugar to make sure it's not your sugar that's low, that's imitating all these things. So it is a medical emergency. It's best to call 911 and get an EMS person there, because they can actually start your treatment before you get to the hospital, including putting in IV access. Okay, so that's a biggie. Let's see. And in South Carolina, we are known as the stroke buckle. So there's something that's called a stroke belt. There's several states where strokes are like the primary disabilitating and reasons of death. And they are, yeah, Mississippi, Tennessee, Louisiana, Kentucky, Georgia, North Carolina,
Oh,
Alabama,
wow.
South Carolina,
It's that salty bacon,
Arkansas,
ain't it?
huh?
It's that salty bacon, ain't it?
It's that salty bacon and all that sugar and processed foods. And then we
Yeah,
have
that too.
Indiana and Virginia. So, but South Carolina, for some reason, we're the belt buckle because most of the strokes that we see are right here in South Carolina. Okay. So, at South Carolina, when COVID came along, stroke in the world was the third leading cause of death. COVID came and bumped it down to number 4. But in
Oh, wow.
South Carolina, it is still the third leading cause of death. Okay. So back in 2020, from the latest data, over 2,880 people died from strokes in South Carolina alone just this year. Okay. So
Wow.
there's a lot. So some of the myths are that strokes only happen in older people, which is not true. My youngest stroke person, besides the heat stroke, my youngest stroke person as an adult was in their 30s that came in, very debilitating. And they ended up having to go to a nursing home at a young age because their family couldn't take care of them. They were paralyzed on one side, had to get a feeding tube and things like that to help them survive. So it's really, really, really serious. Some of the other myths is that it's not preventable. It's kind of preventable, even though there's hereditary stroke symptoms that can be passed down. Those other things that we talked about with taking your blood pressure medication, stop smoking, stop the excessive drinking, and things like that, that can help reduce the likelihood of you having a stroke. Now, some of the non-modifiable things, and I know I'm going to have some people to send hate mail, but go ahead and send the hate mail. I'm just telling you the facts. Some things you can't change. You can't change your age. I know some of us been 25 for 51 years, but age plays a factor in it. Your gender. When you come to the hospital, I do not care how you identify. I need to know, how were you born? Were you born male or female? That differentiates the treatment, even with certain medications. So if for anyone who is LGBT part of the community, when you come to the hospital, if we ask that question, we're not being funny or disrespectful. We need to know, because certain medications, regardless if you identify as a woman, if you were born a man, the medication can affect you differently. Okay.
Facts.
Hereditary. There's certain things that's hereditary. Like I have diabetes is hereditary in my family. Strokes are hereditary. High blood pressure, heart attacks. So some things that I cannot change are that. And a history of strokes. Once you've had a stroke, you're at risk for having another one. Very,
Yeah.
very, very high risk. Okay, so those are things that you can't change. Then you have some things like I was telling you that mimics strokes. So if you come in, you have some people, if you're diabetic, if a person seems loopy or out of it, not their normal self, check their sugar. Make sure their sugar is not low. Because a lot of times hypoglycemia or low blood sugar can mimic strokes. Okay. Um, we have some people that have those migraines that they can actually present with stroke-like symptoms where your arms and everything go limp and weak.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like a whole lot. And it takes my lecture is normally a 4-hour lecture, but
I'm
I'm
sorry,
trying to,
we trying to cram you into 20 minutes because we didn't
I
want
know.
to
So I apologize if it feel like I'm jumping all over the place, but I just want to get certain things in. Um,
and I think
there's, I'm sorry,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead. Go you go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
There's a acronym called Be Fast, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if you guys can see my face now. I'm trying to pull up my list. But Be Fast is an acronym. The B stands for balance. So if you have a sudden loss of balance or problems coordinating, if you have someone you tell them to touch the end of your finger and they can't get it, they're going all around it. If they are stumbling, can't get their steps together, that's what the B part for. That's balance. Eyes, if they suddenly start to complain of blurry vision, they have trouble seeing, and that's like very sudden onset, that's something to say, hey, something's not right here. And then F is for face, for facial drooping. So sometimes they'll have what we call drooping on one side of the face. Normally, the side of the face that droops can also be numb, or you can have weakness in the extremities and legs. So those things are some things to look out for. The A for arm, we just talked about that. You'll have the arm or extremity weakness. Speech, they'll come in with slurred speech sometimes, or they'll come in with they can understand what your question is you're asking them, but they can't get their words out. So, and then there's another part of speech where they're saying things, but it makes absolutely no sense. It's like the cat in the jar was on the hat, but to them, they're trying to say, I had a headache last night.
Right.
So their speech can really play a trick on them. And then the T stands for time. Brain is time. So the faster you recognize these signs and symptoms, the faster you can get help for yourself or for a loved one, or if you're out in the community and you run into someone and you see this, these are some of the things that can say, hey, this person is possibly having a stroke. And the first two parts of the B are important. The American Heart Association added that within the last year and a half, because there are people that can come into the emergency department and they have actually been dismissed or overlooked because they were considered to be drunk. Posterior strokes affects your balance and your vision. Normally, that's in the back of your brain and the occipital lobe. So when you come in, a lot of patients look like they're drunk because they're staggering all over the place and their speech may be slurred.
Mm.
So that's why it's
Wow.
yeah. So it's really
Yeah.
important if you're feeling those things or you're seeing those changes in a loved one, call 911, get them to the
Yes.
hospital as fast as possible so we can get them scanned to check to see if it's a stroke. If it is a stroke and you are a candidate, there's two types of, one is called tenecteplase, TNK, and the other one is called alteplase, which is TPA, and they're clot busting medications. So if we get you to the hospital within 3.5 to 4 hours from the onset of your last known well. So your last known well is the time that somebody physically last saw you, spoke to you, talked to you on the telephone. If we get you to the hospital within that time frame and you meet the criteria, we could give that medication, which can bust up the clot that's blocking the blood vessel and can we call abort strokes, or it can decrease the type of defects, deficits you're going to have from having a stroke.
So time is very important in all this stuff. Time is very
Yes.
important. So again, thank you. Hey, great. I'm not cutting you off. I know great information. We can't scram it
You're
all at
welcome.
one time. Great information. Toya, what questions you may have for Miss Mary? I know you.
Man, he answered all my questions. So my father had died of a hemorrhagic stroke, and so our thing is that and he was also in kidney failure, but happened to have a stroke literally on the way to the hospital. But by the time he got there, because you said time is important, it was too late when he was brain
Mhm.
dead. By the time they got him
Mhm.
situated and put into, put on a machine. Um, the thing about it being hereditary, like I never knew that, and what you said, my grandmother had a stroke, my father, his mother, and my sister had massive heart attack.
Mhm.
So what are some of the things, like you said, I am, because of my situation, I'm very health conscious about what we eat. I am a diabetic, so Mediterranean diet, I do have cheat days, but like you said, it's probably like once every 2 months because I really can't eat too much anyway. What are some
Mhm.
of the things that we have to keep up with to notice that if like a TIA can happen anytime? And
Well,
go
one
ahead.
of the big things, and I'm sorry, my end is a little choppy. I apologize if I cut you off. But one thing that I find out that we do not do, and that's when I say we, I'm really referring to the African American community, is that we don't go to the doctor regularly for checkups. Knowing what your blood pressure is a biggie. Just getting that annual physical exam, that can tell a lot. When you're looking at diabetes, when you go back, when we check that A1C level, it actually traces your blood level for 3 months prior to the day you came. So patients who like to like cheat and then like 3 days before the appointment, they're like really, really good. It
Yeah, I'm
doesn't
not
matter
that dumb.
because it's it's gonna trace back. So do those if you have diabetes, you got to monitor what you eat. Get your blood pressure and stuff checked. Men is really, really important because a lot of men suffer from heart disease, and you guys tend to like heart attacks and leave us black women here with nobody to choose from. So it's
Mm.
really good that you guys go to the doctor at least every 6 months for that physical exam, especially if you're falling in my age group. I'm 51. So there are some things that we call preventative or primary treatment where you go in just to get things checked, just to make sure there's nothing going on. And
Good
as far
stuff.
as when I
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Let me cut you out. Go
and
ahead. Go ahead.
okay, and as far as with hereditary, as I was saying about my family members that I have that in Toya,
Mhm.
believe it or not, I don't eat pork. I don't like fried chicken. I don't like fried food, period. I don't drink soda. I don't do a lot of different things, but my cholesterol level is still elevated. And it's because it's hereditary. So I'm still at risk for a stroke, even though don't have diabetes, I don't have hypertension. My cholesterol is high. I'm 51. I work in healthcare, so I'm always stressed out. So I have all those other things. So one of the biggest things is I really encourage people to get your annual physical exams.
You
Good
hear
stuff.
that,
Q,
fellas? Because men don't listen.
we do listen. Hush. Q, you have any questions? Q, you have any questions from Miss Mary Baker?
No questions, Your Honor.
No. Okay. RJ, you have any questions for Miss Mary while you got on the line?
This is like a real kind of like a funny type of question, but I'm gonna ask this.
Okay.
Why don't doctors do the old school prostate exam like they used to?
Wait a minute. Well, how they used to do it?
Yeah.
They actually would go down and do
Well,
Oh, you sleep?
yeah they no they would do
oh,
and then like they would kind of hit the spot
Because now they just do a
and they
PSA. And if they go from
yeah
your PSA, then at once if the test is high, if your PSA is high, then they'll go and do the do
Well,
and
I'm
see
glad.
if
I'm
your
glad they
okay.
do
prostate
it.
is enlarged.
which
I'm
is
glad they
actually
modified it. I don't want no
which is
single
not best practice. If you look at most of the guidelines for gastroenterology and cancer, that's not best practice. Best practice is still the digital exam. It requires no blood draw. It's just them actually physically turning you over, going into the rectum to feel, because we can have false blood levels. But if there's something going on with prostate, you can feel it. There's a feeling that you can actually tell when you go in. So a lot of times people are going with the PSA levels. I just buried my uncle 2 weeks ago. He had prostate cancer that metastasized, and they did the same thing. They were just looking at his PSA level, said it wasn't going anywhere. Then boom, all of a sudden he's metastasized. Prostate cancer is one of those cancers you can live for 15, 20 years without treatment. So his was that far advanced that they kept going off a PSA level instead of doing the other things that they needed, that I
And
feel
then,
they
man,
should have done.
see,
Wow.
that's the question I had to my doctor in relationship to that. We had some older gentlemen that used to come outside and they used to sit down and talk with us, school us on health. Health and relationship to as you transition, as you get older, some of the things that were going to take place with
Mm-hmm.
as young men. So that's one of the questions. That particular question. I mean, I've done the whole Cologuard thing. I actually had they put me to sleep and did the colonoscopy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
Do what I would
everybody,
do with the colonoscopy.
everybody needs to get that. But I just urge people to really take care of themselves. And I thank you for the information that you provided. One
You're
Great.
more
So,
question
welcome.
may pop up.
any other questions from the panel for you guys we got tonight?
No, I think this has been so informative, and yeah, I thank you too for coming on and enlightening us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank,
It's my pleasure.
thank you again, Nurse Nightingale. That's my girl. There, we've been around 30 something years, 40 something. I don't know, 20 something years. I don't know. I can't call it. Thank you for your
Welcome.
information. Hey guys, take the information, take it with you. That's wrap things up. Toya, what's your last thoughts for tonight?
So I wanted to say, and I didn't get a chance to say, if you live in North Carolina and you are a victim of, in Western North Carolina, a lot of people lost a lot of things, ID included. You can go to your polling place and you can get a voting ID. Because here in North Carolina, you do have to show your ID to vote. They will give you one, especially if you are up in the mountains in Asheville in Western North Carolina. Here, my sister has actually been taking a lot of our clients, our older clients who have moved down from New York or someplace else. And she says it's taken like 5 minutes. She's in and out. They take a picture of, especially elderly people who might not have ID, take a picture of you, and then you show that when you go to vote. So make sure that we are voting. The lines are long. Yeah, also, if you have a cane or a walker or you're in a wheelchair, you will get moved to the front of the line, because please know that I'm taking my cane with me when I.
Everybody want to
But you do get moved to
ambulance
the front of the
chasing
line.
Q. Good stuff. Good stuff. Q, last thoughts.
Voting, I say, is still important, mainly because one of the presidents believes that they're sending your children to school for gender surgery. Now, for the people who actually believe that, in most schools, they can't even give your children peanut butter without you signing off on it. If the nurse can't give your student a proper Band-Aid without calling the mother. You think they're having sex changes at school? If you believe that, I honestly believe your vote should not count as much as mine.
Okay. Playmaker, last thought.
My thing is going to be a little bit off topic. I'll say my thing is about transparency. You know, make sure that you have at least one person you can be transparent to, that you can combine in and share your thoughts. And if you need help, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Good stuff. Good stuff. RJ.
Wow. Really, I mean, one, good information tonight. Appreciate it. Like, we do need to really be conscious of our care, our health care, and our awareness of things. Um, I'm gonna put this in the air. Put this in the ether. The adversity that you're not looking for may be the very thing that you need.
Okay. Okay.
Bars.
Bars. Mary Baker, I know you're a visitor, but you gonna get a final thought too. What's your final thought for the night? You're on mute.
Am I off now?
Yeah.
Yes. What's your final
Okay.
thoughts for the night?
My final thoughts is to remember to take care of you. There's only one of you, and we do not take care of ourselves the way that we need to. And at our age, not everybody may not be my age, but you find yourself as your caregiver for parents and you have kids or grandkids. Remember, if you don't take care of you, you're not going to be good to anybody else. Okay, get those annual exams done and just be compliant with your medications.
Facts. Black men, take your medication.
It is. And I
Please.
hate pushing pharmaceuticals. One of the main reasons Black men do not like taking their medication is because it can cause erectile dysfunction.
That
There
part.
is something else that can fix that, from a tool to another medication. So what good is it you have an erection and you have a heart attack?
They got that going
Yeah.
Blue Diamond though. That joint
Hey,
vicious
sir.
from. I
Sir.
heard some. I
Sir.
heard some interesting information about them joints, man. They increase the blood flow everywhere in your body, so it's not necessarily regulated to the.
The penile area.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I was about to
The
say. Yeah, I was about to say that.
That's
Hey,
why I was
look.
saying when you come in the hospital, it's important for you to tell us what you were born as. Not what you identify as is important, but not as important of what you were born as, because we do use those little blue pills sometimes to treat blood pressure.
Good stuff. So this morning, I will watch the news. You know, I'm up early in the morning, 2, 3, 5 in the morning. As you all know, Pound and everybody else may not know, but they said that Donald J. Trump said he fashioned himself after Abraham Lincoln. He says if he was Lincoln, he would have negotiated the Civil War, and it wouldn't have been a war. For
Meaning
those who don't know what the
slave.
Civil War was about, Civil War was about freeing slaves, guys. Hey, guys, this is my last appeal to you prior to the election. Election's in 2 weeks. This is probably the last time you're going to hear from me. This dude just told you he don't mind keeping slavery around. Need I say more? Hey guys, thanks for the panel. Thanks for the guys for sharing. Thanks for the Astoria, Mary Baker. Thanks for being on it with us. We love you. Welcome to come back soon. And like always, guys, may your next move be the game changer. Peace.